Human nature is selfish. Whoever understands his selfish nature can understand human nature, and only when understanding human nature can stand firmly on the top. Dear friend, to evaluate the change between good and evil in human nature, we need to rely on benefits. When there is no relationship of benefit, human nature is good. Only need benefits to appear. Human nature is selfish if the benefit is big enough. Human nature will become evil. What I say may be difficult to hear, especially not easy to absorb, so remember to watch to the end to grasp. Ancient education welcomes you and your friends. Do you think human nature is good or evil? From childhood to adulthood, many things we learn say that human nature is good. So we have defined human. Human is kind, grateful, love, righteousness, grateful, and repaying with dignity, high virtue, reward. The world of childhood, really most people are the incarnation of perfection, such as the feelings between teacher and student, friends, and first love. Because at that time our relationship basically had nothing to do with benefits, so you were blinded by illusions. But when you enter society, your relationship begins to involve benefits. You will discover their actions are completely opposite to what you have learned before. Friends borrow money, not pay. Lover cheating, business partners betraying, colleagues stabbing you in the back, siblings fighting over property, not caring about the life and death of parents when their behavior is not like what you learned as a child. You begin to be hurt by them and your pain begins to continue. Human nature is good or bad. We can look at it from some angles. If human nature is born good, so why do the three major religions, Confucianism, Buddhism, have to set so many rules to limit human behavior? We all know Buddhism has many precepts such as not killing, not eating meat, not touching women, etc. If human nature is really good, why do we need to consider human nature at its beginning good as a classic? If human nature is really good, then why does every country need laws to limit human behavior? So remember that human nature is not good. That is why we need classic books on ethics and law to together maintain social stability. Looking at human nature through the perspective of movement, everyone who has ever been a parent knows that when your child is still a newborn baby, in addition to looking gentle and lovely, you will discover that sometimes their behavior does not have a trace of kindness. The beliefs of newborn babies are very simple. Just 8 words: Thuan Tala Bien Angian Tatusi Thursday, meaning that newborn babies are born to consider themselves the center. They do not put themselves in your position to think for you. Just need them to want something, they will take it. If they cannot get it, they will cry. If they cry but still cannot get it, they will cry louder until they get what they want. This selfish thinking of young children does not need anyone to teach it. Innate. So human nature is good or bad? I will tell you human nature is not good nor bad, but selfish. Every word or action of a person is just to satisfy his own interests. This example will help you understand better. Suppose me and Chumai have been in love for 5 years. In fact, in those N years, I did not love M. I just did not have a girlfriend anyway. I am single. Having someone to take care of is always better than having no one, so I reluctantly love Chumai. On the contrary, Chumai loves me to death. I am the man she loves most in her life. No one else. Just need her to see me. She will be extremely happy. Just need to be with me. She will be happy like a god. So in N years of love with Chumai, everyone can imagine. No need to say. Certainly Chumai has taken care of me. She can walk kilometers to buy chicken soup for me to drink. She can save money to buy clothes for me. She can even cheat money of my parents to help me start a business. In general, in that year, the world of Chu my only had me and She sacrificed everything for me. The result, after 5 years, for some reasons our love could not continue. Dark and Chumai broke up, and because I was the one who proposed to break up first at that time, the whole world, including Chumai, cursed me as a bad person, saying that I was not a man. Some people said I was not worthy of being human. Some people even cursed me as an animal, and Chumai cursed me even more viciously. She said, "Do you remember there was a time, because I wanted to cook a pot of soup for you to drink, I walked for kilometers. Do you remember there was a year I did not buy a single thing for myself, but was willing to buy you a whole bunch of clothes? Do you remember I cheated my parents of money to help you start a business, causing me and my family to turn against you? You are not a man anyway. I have become a mouse running across the street, being yelled at by everyone, unable to leave the house, being scolded to the point of unbearable. Let's analyze this issue seriously from the perspective of common morality. I really did wrong. I am a bad person, a beast. I am despised by the whole world. I have nothing to say. Let's analyze from the perspective of human nature. First, Xiao Mei and I have been together for 5 years. I did not love Xiao Mei, but Xiao Mei loved me to death. Everyone can imagine I have been with someone I did not love for 5 years, while Xiao Mei has been with the person she loved the most for 5 years. Clearly, in those 5 years, I had to face someone I did not love every day. How did I live in pain while Xiao Mei could be with the person she loved the most every day? I can be sure that Xiao Mei lived very happily in those 5 years. Second, as Xiao Mei said, she sacrificed a lot for me. She walked kilometers to buy chicken just to be able to cook a pot of chicken soup for me to drink. So when she gave me the sup, who was happy, who was sad for me, it was just a bowl of chicken soup. No matter who cooked it, it was the same. But for Chu Mai it was different. She saw the person she loved the most drinking chicken soup. She smiled very happily. Her heart was sweet. She felt every sacrifice was worth it. She did everything without regret. Everyone, please realize the truth. Don't forget that in those 5 years, everything she did for me, I never forced her. She did everything she did voluntarily. Why did she do it voluntarily? Because when she sacrificed for the person she loved, she felt extremely happy. Everyone pay attention to this sentence. Everything she gave birth to can make her feel extremely happy. So from the selfish perspective of human nature, everything she gave birth to was just to make herself happy. On the surface, she did a lot for me, but in reality she only did it for my happiness, myself. So morally, she is a good person, I am a bad person. But the truth is that in those 5 years I lived in misery, while Chu Mai could be with the person she loved and could even sacrifice for the person she loved the most. She lived very happily in those N years. So the truth is that I endured 5 years of misery so that she could have 5 years of happiness. Although I am not such a bad person, I also do not support such behavior of men. But through this story, I believe that everyone can see the truth of the problem for the first time. Why is Chu Mai suffering? Why do people curse me as a bad person? Because most people in this world live in a sweet world every day, not knowing anything about the truth of human nature. Human nature is selfish. People who understand their selfish nature can understand human nature. And only when they understand human nature can they stand firmly on the top to judge the change between good and evil. In human nature, we need to rely on benefits when there is no relationship. Benefits are inherently good. Only when benefits appear, human nature is selfish. If benefits are large enough, human nature will become evil. Tell a story. My mother has 6 siblings, 1 older sister, one younger brother and 3 younger sisters, and my mother is 63 years old this year. Among them, 4 sisters bought a piece of land in their hometown to build a building with the hope of living together and enjoying family joy. But they also have a big worry, which is that living together for a long time will lead to conflicts because of small things. My mother asked my opinion, and I told her that the sisters were all born from the same womb, and even the youngest one was past the age of no longer being skeptical. So in small daily matters, everyone will sympathize with each other, and my mother should feel secure living happily with them in her later years. When I told my mother this, my grandmother passed away a few years ago and her assets were settled. Although my grandmother was not rich, the house and some cash in the countryside is still significant because my grandmother's assets have been settled. I believe that the sisters will not encounter a major conflict of interest when living together. If my grandmother and her assets are still there, I will find it difficult to predict the consequences, because that is the reality. When my grandmother passed away a few years ago, the division of assets made them unhappy, and some sisters had conflicts, but fortunately not too serious. The one who caused the most conflicts was because my uncle is the son, according to the feudal ideology of the countryside uncle. I think that all of my grandmother's assets should belong to uncle. Note, my grandmother divided the assets equally, and my uncle only received a little more. My grandmother was in bed for over a year, and my uncle never visited until she passed away. He appeared. My aunts were very angry, but I know that my uncle's actions are in line with human nature, which is the nature of seeking benefits and avoiding losses in humans. Note that the current relationship has been healed, so that even though relatives, friends or lovers, no matter how good they are, you cannot completely trust them, because once there is a conflict of interest, these people will definitely hurt you deeply. The more the interest, the more selfish human nature becomes, and when selfishness reaches a certain level, human nature will become evil. Looking at all the ancient kings fighting, you cannot see the shadow of goodness, like the Xuanwu Gate coup of Li Shimin killing his brother and younger brother. Even Wu Zetian killed her own child. Next, I will talk about the philosophy of life. 9 deaths, 1 birth. In 1993, 2 10-year-old boys who did not study at all decided to kidnap a 2-year-old boy to play, and finally cruelly killed that 2-year-old boy. They were later arrested by the police. One named John admitted without denying killing the child. The other put all the responsibility on John himself, freed himself from all sins, and clearly showed his selfish nature. The human age always seeks benefits and avoids harm. This is a murder case that shocked Liverpool, England, and then this story was brought to the screen to be filmed as a short film called Detainment, and was nominated for an Oscar. All thoughts about good and evil of humanity all start from the idea. When you assume that human nature is good, you will assume that all people are good. When you assume that human nature is evil, you will assume that all people are bad. For example, 10 friends. If you assume that all 10 of them are good people, you will expect them to treat you well every day. If one day out of those 10 friends betrays you, you will definitely not be able to bear the pain, and such a life will make you live in suffering and die. This reason of life is called 9 lives and 1 death. On the contrary, if you assume that all 10 of those friends are not good people, you will not have any expectations of them. I am talking about the assumption in if one day suddenly someone treats you well, you will feel like you have won the lottery, and this unexpected joy will make your life happy. This philosophy of life is called 9 deaths, 1 life. I have noticed that the majority of people like to live by the philosophy of 9 deaths, 1 life. Like many couples, when they get married, they often assume in advance that their marriage will be happy and also promise each other a beautiful love to live together until old age, never to separate. If one day they divorce, this couple can easily turn against each other, to hate each other to death and never see each other again. I encourage married people to keep the mindset of a dead sheep. Don't let fairy tale love stories cloud your mind. If from the beginning you don't assume that everything will be perfect, then divorce will be in your prediction, and you won't feel miserable if you can live together until old age. It will be a surprise, right? But honestly, in this world, there are not many people have that kind of intelligence.